You take your daughter Amelia and leave. I already have a baby with Cain in my belly. You and Amelia are getting in the way. At the words my sister told me, I let out a sigh and answered firmly. I'm willing to give her a divorce, but I can't keep my daughter Amelia. My younger sister's expression distorts my words. What? You're her mother, aren't you? Apparently, my sister doesn't know anything. I decided to tell her the truth that she doesn't know. My name is Heather. I'm 35 years old and teach a piano class. I live with my husband, Cain, and our 14-year-old daughter, Amelia. Cain's mother is the talented president of a major company. She was so famous that she was even covered by the media, and I remember how nervous I was when I met her to get married. She thought about her, a busy career woman, was scary, but when I met her, she was a kind and smiling person. I respect her who said to me, "My son has many shortcomings, but please take good care of him." Cain is also struggling as an employee at her company. My daughter Amelia is an honest and cheerful girl, and I get along very well with her. It makes me happy to hear Amelia say, "We are like sisters." I'm so proud of you. On our days off, we went shopping together and lived happily every day. Until I got back together with my sister. That year, it was unusual for the whole family to have a day off during summer. Amelia's club activities were cancelled due to the extreme heat, so Cain and I were able to take summer vacation. Taking advantage of this holiday, we decided to return to my parents' home in the countryside. I thought about going back to my in-laws' house, but my mother-in-law was too busy to take time off. When I returned to my hometown, my parents warmly welcomed me. However, I noticed something strange. Oh, whose shoes are these? Among the shoes left at the entrance were shoes clearly intended for young people. As I was tilting my head over the sandals, which were probably not my mother's, I heard a voice from the back room saying, "Hey, sis. It's been a while. Are you surprised?" And my sister Laurel turned and looked at me. Issued. Laurel. What have you been up to? I was so worried about you. My sister, Laurel, who is 7 years younger than me, had not heard from our family for many years. This is because Laurel is a naughty child and had a big fight with our parents when she was in high school. She ran away from home and we haven't heard from her ever since. She seems to have had occasional contact with our mother, and we were only able to confirm that she was alive, but it seems that she had changed her mind and returned home like us during the holidays. Well, don't worry, Laurel said, nodding, and when we got to the house, Laurel told me about her life so far. During her high school years, Laurel ran away from her home, fed up with her rural, stubborn parents, and apparently moved in with a friend of hers in the city. There, she found a job opening for a part-time job at a cafe, and she has been working there ever since. As expected, I had already moved out of my friend's house, and I had become an adult, so I came back for this vacation thinking that I should at least see the faces of my parents. Then, you were married, and you have a child. It's Cain and Amelia, right? Nice to meet you. Laurel lowers her head, and Cain and Amelia nod in a hurry. I felt lonely that Laurel hadn't contacted me in all these years, but I was thinking that as long as she was doing well, it was all good. Cain leans over and says, "Well, I've heard the name of the cafe where I work, but it's probably down an alley near the crossroads in front of the station?" As Laurel put it over her head, she nodded and said, "Oh, yes, that's right. It's a cafe with a cream-colored signboard." Cain's expression suddenly brightened up. As expected. The nearest station to my company is also there, and my coworkers told me that she was interested in that cafe. Laurel smiles at Kane's words. Wow. Great. Please come visit our store next time. Many single men visit our store as well. I felt a little uncomfortable with Kane's reaction, but I'm genuinely happy that he's trying to get along with Laurel. It was also fate that Kane's workplace was close to Laurel's part-time job. Sometimes I would think of her and wonder how she was doing. I had been worrying about her, and while I felt the wonder of fate that she was still alive and well so close by, I shared the joy of reuniting with her. After spending our holidays with Laurel and my parents, Laurel started coming to visit us often. Sometimes I would invite her, and sometimes I would get a call from Laurel saying, "Can I go tonight?" My younger sister Laurel is very cute, as she is 7 years younger than me. I never turned down a request from Laurel, and she never turned down an invitation from me unless she had something special planned. Amelia also accepts Laurel as her aunt, and Kane is so happy that he says, "It's like having a real sister." I'm an only child, so I wanted a sister like her. Our family became very close to Laurel, and we often took her on family trips with her. It was about 6 months into this life that Laurel started acting strange. Laurel suddenly stopped wanting to come over, and she started ignoring my invitations. Laurel is a reckless and short-tempered girl, so maybe something was wrong with her. Worried about this, I decided to visit Laurel's part-time job during lunchtime after finishing work early on weekdays. It was my first time going to Laurel's workplace, but I remembered the conversation I had with Kane and Laurel, and I spotted a cream-colored sign just inside the alley at the intersection in front of the station. When you open the door and step inside, you hear the sound of cowbells clanking. A clerk wearing a brown apron said, "Welcome," I said, "Hello," and when I looked for Laurel, I couldn't find her right away in the small store. I was relieved to see that Laurel seemed to be doing well, but perhaps she was taking a break and she was sitting without a brown apron, talking to someone. I felt bad about it, but when I peeked into the seat, trying not to be seen, I saw Kane there. Kane must have known that I was worried about Laurel. Yet, he never once told me that he was meeting Laurel. When I said, "I haven't been able to get in touch with Laurel lately. She's been a bit of a troublemaker, so I hope she doesn't cause any trouble again," Kane said, "I'm sure it'll be fine." She said she became an adult, right? I was staring at them, wondering what they were talking about, and then it dawned on me. The two of them were holding each other's hands on the table. He's so smitten with Laurel, he's completely being led by the nose. I realized that it was definitely a relationship between them, so I ran out of the cafe and said to the confused employee, "Are you all right?" and said, "Sorry, I gotta go." After that, I must have gotten on the train and gone home, but I don't remember anything about that process. I don't want Amelia to worry, so when she came home after her club activities I tried to behave as usual, but I was unsure if I had done it properly. That night, when Amelia was asleep, I asked Kane, "Hey. Today, I was worried about Laurel, so I showed up at the cafe where she works. Then I saw you and Laurel talking and holding hands. What kind of relationship do you guys have?" In response to my cautious question, Kane, who was sitting on the sofa playing with his smartphone, looked up and answered as if it was nothing. "Oh, I guess I found out. But it's okay, because I've been thinking of talking to you someday. I've been dating Laurel for quite before. She is 3 months pregnant now. I'm thinking of divorcing you, okay?" "What do you mean by okay?" I felt so angry at Kane for admitting his affairs so easily. But Kane doesn't seem to care about my anger as he pulls out a bag and stuffs some clothes into it. "Where are you going?" I yelled, and Kane told me coldly. "It's at Laurel's place. Even though my affair was discovered, there's no point in us being together. I feel better being with young and cute Laurel than being with an old woman like you, and I can work hard at work. That's it. Kane crosses in front of me, stunned, and walks out the front door. After the door slammed shut, I burst into tears. Oh my God. Then what are you going to do with Amelia? My silent cries were only absorbed by the stillness of the night. The next day. I was on holiday, so I was spending it at home. I haven't been told yet that Kane has left Amelia. I told her that Kane decided to leave early in the morning for work. In the house where Amelia also went to school, I'm idly thinking about what to do next when the intercom rings. I looked outside on the intercom screen and saw Laurel standing there. There was no explosive anger like last night. I opened the front door and greeted Laurel with a quiet anger bubbling over. Laurel slowly walked into the hallway, closed her door, and with a bang, she threw her forehead to the ground and fell prostrate. I'm having a baby with Kane. I'm going to be his wife. It was the first time I saw a person kneeling on the ground. As I was looking down at that figure, I saw Laurel's eyes as she raised her head a little, and she stood up and started talking. Well, I'm sorry. But Kane also says he wants me, and I'm pregnant now. I want you to break up with Kane and leave with Amelia as soon as possible. Okay. Really? I said that in a voice that surprised even myself, and let Laurel into the house. I didn't think it was something to talk about at the door. I sat down at the table in the living room and confronted Laurel. I'll accept the divorce. But I can't keep Amelia. Laurel's expression twisted at my words. Huh? Amelia is getting in the way of me and Kane's new life. You understand, right? When the baby is born, Amelia is going to feel bad about it. It's natural for the mother to keep the child. I don't even understand that. You are her mother, right? You don't know anything. When I said this as if I was taken aback, Laurel asked, what? Dissatisfied. I told Laurel the truth that she didn't know. Amelia is my stepchild. She was Kane's child. Amelia was one of my students in my piano class. There I met Kane, who was divorced and was her father. And I've got married. Huh? What is that? I didn't know that. I couldn't help but laugh when I saw Laurel looking so upset. Even though you're about to get married, you haven't really heard anything about it. So, is your marriage okay? At my mockery, Laurel's face turned red and she slammed the table and stood up. Don't worry. I'll talk to Kane and come back. Get ready for divorce. Laurel yelled at me, and I nodded yes, and kicked her out of my house. After she left, I was thinking about Amelia. Ever since I talked about getting divorced, I've been thinking about Amelia. I'm worried about Amelia, but I wonder what it would be like to take her in since she isn't related by blood. But as Laurel says, with a new baby in the family, Amelia may find herself feeling overwhelmed. It's been a few weeks since I spent my days worrying. Amelia was suspicious that Kane was not here, so I lied and said he was on a long business trip. One day, I got a call from Kane, and he, Laurel, and I decided to have a discussion. The place is our home. Just like when Laurel came before, we sat down at a table for four, but when Kane naturally sat next to Laurel, I felt like I had finally given up and thought it's really over. Kane was the first to speak up when the discussion began. As for Amelia, I have no intention of taking her in. She's a hindrance to my new life, so you should take her. You're calling your own daughter a nuisance. Are you serious? When I asked this with quiet anger, Kane nodded dramatically. I'm sure I'm serious about it. I want to start a new family with Laurel. I want to reset things. You're good friends with Amelia, right? Heather should take responsibility for raising Amelia. I let out a sigh as Kane was trying to push Amelia on me. I feel bad for Amelia for having someone like this as her father. I've been thinking about what to do about Amelia for a long time, but I feel like I've made a decision after seeing Kane's attitude. When I said with determination, "Okay, in return, please make sure to pay child support," Laurel, who had a straight face, smiled. "You did it, Kane. Now all the troublemakers are gone. From now on, it's just you and our baby." Even though it's in front of me, I silently stand up as they share their joy without hiding it. Then I handed Kane and Laurel the brown envelope I had left on the kitchen counter. "What is it? Isn't this too thick for your divorce papers?" "It's not a divorce papers. Just open it." I urge Laurel, who is looking at me like a fool, to open her brown envelope and take out her contents. Laurel's face gradually turned pale as she looked through the documents inside her. "What? What's written on it?" Kane looks into the document, but Laurel tries to hide it. "Don't look at it." Kane must have sensed the disturbing signs as well. Kane, who took the document from Laurel by force, looked at the contents of the document and was at a loss for words. What is this? It would be. The truth that Laurel was hiding is written there. Inside the brown envelope is an investigation report from the detective agency. I was planning to collect evidence that she had been having an affair and demand compensation, but an unexpected fact was discovered. It turned out that Laurel was a spendthrift and had accumulated a large amount of debt. Moreover, it turns out that Laurel worked as a stripper at night to pay off her debt, and that she had been having an affair with a regular customer she met there for several years. The document clearly states, with photos, that their relationship continues to this day. What do you mean? Does that mean you're dating someone else? Kane asks Laurel, her face red and furious. Laurel looked open and snorted. That's right. An old man like you has no attraction other than money, so it can't be helped. How dare you? Just as Kane was about to let Laurel get angry, I heard the yell from my phone, which was on her table. Stop it. While Laurel was confused and asked who. Kane seemed to be the only one who recognized the owner of the voice. Mom? Yes. In fact, without telling Kane and Laurel, I connected Kane's mother remotely by phone and let her hear all the conversations. She was divorced and accepted her son Kane, so she trusted me and always consulted with me. Regarding this matter, I had gone to consult her. Then, she made time out of her busy schedule and said she would participate in the discussion if she could do it remotely, which is how she participated today. Stop fighting now. It's really pathetic. Forgetting how much you owe to Heather, you really are a total idiot. Kane became smaller at the words of his mother. She continued. It's been discovered that you have been skipping work lately and going to a hotel with a woman there. Your subordinates are also complaining, and even though he's my son, I can't protect you anymore. Huh? Mom, what does that mean? It means you were fired. Kane said in a trembling voice, and his mother told him firmly. Kane stood up and shouted into my phone, Sorry, Mom. From now on, I'll do my best at work. Please don't fire me. Laurel, who was stunned, said, Oh, that's right. I'm having a baby with him. You're Kane's mother, right? That means my baby is your grandchild. However, her mother-in-law told her in a very calm voice. No matter what you say, you're fired. Also, the house and land are in my name, so I refuse to let you two live there. Get out of that house right now. Mom, please forgive me. It's awful that you're losing your home and job. I watched for a while as Kane continued to scream into my phone, which had been disconnected, and Laurel looked dumbfounded, but I was getting tired of this scene. We're getting divorced anyway, so we're strangers now. Please leave or I'll call the police, I said, and Kane and Laurel slumped their shoulders and left. That night, I told Amelia what had happened, and she told me that she seemed to be aware of Kane's infidelity. I was kind of aware that Dad was having an affair with Laurel. But, will you remain my mother? Won't you abandon me? I answered Amelia by hugging her as she spoke nervously. It's obvious. I'll always be your mom. After that, I and Kane divorced. Amelia and I were able to continue living in this house thanks to the kindness of my former mother-in-law. However, Kane and Laurel get into an argument after Kane loses his job and home, and it turns out that the child she is pregnant with is not Kane's. Apparently, they broke up after that. Kane called me crying and saying, "Heather, it was my fault. I just had a bad dream. Let's go back to the fun times." I just hung up and set my phone to reject calls. Because I didn't have any regrets about the man who would abandon not only me, but Amelia as well. It seems that Kane is having a tough time after losing his job, and he is paying Amelia's child support while working at a construction site, which he is not used to. But it's none of my business anymore. Apparently, Laurel forced her patron, who was the father of her unborn child, to marry her, but because her partner had a wife and children, her partner's wife demanded a large amount of compensation. Laurel's debt continues to grow, and she seems to be living in fear of debt collectors. Laurel was in no position to raise a child because she was being chased by debt collectors. The child Laurel gave birth to was taken in by my parents in the countryside and apparently raised with lots of love. During my next long vacation, I plan to go with Amelia to see the child's growth. Although the child was born under complicated circumstances, the baby is cute. Amelia says, "I'm looking forward to meeting the baby. There are going to be some tough times ahead, but with Amelia, I'm sure we'll get through them." Even though we are in the process of getting married, I think it's okay to be grateful to Kane for giving me my daughter.